Being a shaman is cool. A certain magical index and shadow work slash healing. So for this video, I'm gonna just go. It wasn't have to be that long. Maybe like 7 to 11 minutes or 15 minutes. 11 to 15 minutes is okay. I'm gonna record for a while, but not too long like last time. Like last time was luckier because I was able to like have something to talk about that I could extend further because I missed the long form content. I do. I have to constantly fill the dead air, but I like to have longer form videos. So, shamanism is very mysterious and very interesting. It's like I learned from a lot of various sources about how to be a better shaman. One of the easiest things to explain, maybe, is how you can find something pointless and seemingly oversimple and still find meaning from it. Deriving meaning from something very dead simple and pointless. Some of the most inspiring ways I've been a shaman is looking at something pointless, something kind of stupid and foolish, and still seeing how it gives me purpose. For example, and this is a very oddly specific example, I was watching a video of a guy who was kind of like clumsily recording a video out in his pharmacy area in the city, and out in the town, and it was drenching rain out where he was. He recorded a video titled "Help," and it was like, this is from You Matter. So You Matter is a YouTuber I watched recently, who was very much in the same vein as Makina, where he will actually talk about anything under the sun, and be a chill and kind of dude, talking about things and rapping and doing beatboxing and stuff like that. And he's very chill, but he's like in his 40s, and he's very like, he has a mom who's kind of like being hospitalized sometimes, and so and his dad's a little hard on him, so he has a hard time with dealing with his dad. This guy is really chill. So he's standing out in the rain, and it's drenching, and he's having to go into the sun roof to avoid the rain, and it's chilly out there, and the video's titled "Help" because he's getting an unfortunate moment like that. And normally this would be like a kind of like a WTF moment. Like, why are you doing it out in the rain, dude? Like, why can't you just avoid it next time and not be stuck there for an entire night shift? But with shamanism in mind, I would say that this enabled me to think about how I could be finding meaning from his suffering. Because his suffering isn't pointless. That's the funny thing. His suffering is not pointless. It comes across as being foolish, like he could have done better, but there he is. And then you can think about it like, oh, well, he's there. What does it mean to me? Because your observations change over time. Your observations will change about a person over time. Even if you're observing for a longer period of time, your beliefs will change over that period of time. The brain's very plastic. Your beliefs will change over time to meet with how you see the person over time, and how the circumstances change around that environment. And it's very mysterious how the cogs and the wheels turn for this to work. But your beliefs will change. And so for me, I'm observing and I'm like, maybe he's not as foolish as he looks. Maybe he's finding meaning through his suffering. Maybe he's finding a triumph in being the rain and the cold, and trying to make a video about it gives him the energy to prove to himself that he is standing the test of time. And that sounds beautiful on paper, and it probably is anyways, to sound like that. It's like, it's beautiful that he's withstanding the rain and choosing to do that instead of everyone else. Keep in mind, this is a April 1st baby. Like, same as Makina. This is why I get a lot of meaning from that. Because I also get a lot of meaning from the fact that he's born the same day as Makina. Because it's like, oh, no wonder. Because they're no offense, Makina, but you both are kind of like trash babies. Like, you're very good at being ghetto, but also like really good about not holding back on your beliefs and the ways you want to live your lives. And that's a beautiful thing, by the way. It really is. But so I derived that meaning from You Matter, the YouTuber. And as a shaman, I can look at very pointless things and think about what they mean to me. And if they don't mean anything, it's okay. But in a lot of my suffering, the boredom, the loneliness, the being jobless without purpose, having no friends, wondering why I am so close to getting a job I can't get one yet, and then wondering why I have so many passions and interests to the point where I don't know what to do with them. Oh, I was into anime and video games once, but not anymore. And then it's like I lose motivation to even watch anime and play video games. So my computer won't run them anymore, not most of them at least. But it's an old computer. But or anime that I don't like anymore, or I want to like, but I'm not motivated to watch them anymore. So being a shaman taught me how to appreciate the small moments in life and to be happy even if I'm just looking at the weather. One of the most beautiful things about nature is I can literally look at the cars passing by on the road and the trees rustling in the wind and be like, you know what? This makes me happy, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that really is enough. You want to? I personally want the positive expansion, the joyous expansion, positive alignment. I want that to keep expanding. But sometimes it really can be enough. And that's what shamanism can teach me. I'm very good about being grateful about what I have in my life. Even though it still sucks being me, like I will never be an anti-natalist where I'm like, oh, I should have never been born. Why am I here just to suffer? I mean, that's the easy way out. Anti-natalism, you just get the easy way out to say, well, I shouldn't have been born yet. There's no shit you would have said that. Because you can say that because you know your life still had to have suffering. But everyone's life has suffering. So it doesn't count for that. It really shouldn't have to be like that. But the thing with shamanism is I'm able to understand, like, what I can do with pointlessness and meaning I find in my life. And I love that about myself. I can do that with a lot of things. The point of shamanism isn't necessarily healing per se, but it's just being more observant. It's being more grounded in reality and noticing things on a spiritual level that maybe wouldn't have been present before. It's basically taking things at small steps and adding them together as building blocks. You're as a shaman, you're good at grounding things in a straightforward manner, but it has beautiful, complex meanings if you add them up over time. You remember what I said before? Life comes in layers in the Taiga video for Toradora. I said life comes in layers in the One More Level video from like a few years ago. That I still mean that life does come in layers, but it's very enticing how you can find a belief in that, and it will mean something over time, and that's actually what that's actually literally what that means. Life comes in layers means you're gonna find things that don't come together and make sense at first, and then as you add your beliefs and observations over time, they use the building blocks to add together to form the parameters for a complete structure of what you'll believe and add up to all the time. See, when people talk word solids like that, they're not trying to lead you nowhere. They just have a very interesting, complex way of adding together thoughts and meanings that will become a complete structure over time. I'm the exact opposite of people who say that when something means something but it doesn't actually. I'm the exact opposite. I'm the guy who's like, this might be pointless, but it actually means something. I'm the exact opposite. I try to make meaning out of pointlessness. And most people give up too fast. They're like, oh, this might have meant something, but it actually doesn't. That's giving up too fast. And I don't do that. I do not do that. I do the exact opposite. I try to find meaning and optimism and opportunity in the things that seem pointless and belief-stricken. I can find meaning in that. And it's beautiful. I can do that. And it's a beautiful thing. And you add these words together, and they seem pointless in word solidity, but they do add up together and make something as a whole complete picture. And you will notice that with people who do podcasts and professors who do courses and seminars and discussion videos on YouTube, maybe some from Harvard or whatever, or Stanford University, they do like those long form videos where it's like, I'm going to teach you, Professor Jiang Yang, the guy who talks about Iran war and Donald Trump. And it's like, I predict that Donald Trump will lose the Iran negotiation, and then the war will stop because of Iran. It's like, oh my God, it's deep and profound, probably even true and accurate. He's probably found a lot actually just being himself in the first place, so you don't have to question that too much. But even then, he was right? So it's like, but shamanism is beautiful. I'm going to round this up back with certain magical index because I forgot to do that earlier in the video. So this might take about 15 minutes to do. So in the Certain Magical Index anime, Index is a character resembles a nun from the Roman Catholic Church. A nun in white robes with silver hair and green eyes. About girl age. And she is the resemblance of someone with a good memory. And not only a good memory, on a spiritual level, her memory is sacred and subconscious. But that has spiritual beliefs connected to it anyways, so somehow, here and there. That I would presume. But, so, Index has the catalog in her brain that memorizes about 130,000 grimoires in her brain. So those are like spiritual texts and books. 130,000 of them. And they are very spiritual, magical books that can contain information that could save the world or destroy it. And it's very interesting. And they're locked in her brain, they're subconscious, and she can't unlock them unless she has access to her own power. And it's a very beautiful context behind that, because that could be subconscious. That can easily be subconscious. Like shadow work or, unlocking inner parts of your brain, like the 10% rule. Like 90% of your brain is locked away from you, but you can access it over time. That's not an urban legend in my opinion. That's more like it's a deeper truth. It's like you probably do have inner potential you haven't unlocked yet. That's everybody. Like that's not just if your brain doesn't have enough capacity to read for itself. That's everybody in this life. But as everybody has suffering, right? So everyone has a potential. But so the way I interpret Index's life, because she lives alone with Toma, and she lives in their apartment doing nothing but eating food and petting the cat and watching TV and looking outdoors and taking residence in his apartment complex and not really going much outside, maybe traveling a little bit for out of curiosity, finding interest in things like food and culture and society and friends, people, and beliefs and texts and understandings of the world and beliefs and spirituality. I embody a lot of Index's energy because I also reside in my home a lot. I'm probably like the Virgo 6th house of that. The Virgo 6th house where it's like, 6th house energy, because I'm always at home all the time trying to figure out my life and being meditative and mindful and shamanistic as I would presume all the time. But I'm very good about that energy. I'm also like Toma too. I'm like Toma. I have the ideal aspect of the Imagine Breaker in the palm of my hand. Kind of metaphorical there, but basically, whatever I can do with this. I mean, I could be more imaginative than that, but you see this scar, butterfly scar? I could be more imaginative than that, but ideally, I would have the embodiment of the Imagine Breaker where I would be able to understand how to set boundaries in my life and have boundaries where I cut people off and establish self-respect for myself so that I can cancel out the right things no matter what form it takes. Like, ideal, like the magic and science of that would be fun to explain. But that's what I mean, though, right? Is like, no matter what form it takes, I can cut people off and have boundaries set for myself to respect myself. That's the ideal Imagine Breaker in my life, metaphorically speaking. That's the beautiful archetype of saying that. Is using that as an example. It's from a freaking anime. But, so Index is like my spirit animal. I identify very closely with her beliefs as someone who is very into like being positive and upbeat and full of energy and just feisty, and that Hispanic little girl kind of like, I'm gonna like my life no matter what and be hedonist. And I say this a lot with the Georgia Pasta character, where it's like, that's where it's inspired from, by the way, is Hispanic girls enjoying their lives and being hedonists. It's a hard concept to explain. There's a lot of girls like that who are Hispanic and do that kind of thing. But I'm going to explain that from like Index's perspective. It's like being hedonistic a little bit, enjoying food, enjoying maybe sex, because nuns don't know how to have sex, but whatever, we'll go with it. And then it's like, I'm a virgin. What do I know about that? Nah, whatever. But Index has the right idea about what makes someone happy and what makes someone full of purpose. Because being a shaman is not easy. You have to add all those building blocks together and form a structure that comes from complex understandings of the world that come very slowly and upbeat together. They come together over time. You can't rush this process. This is a very beautiful understanding about life. These shamans, like Simon Ragby Jacobson and Yash from Beyond the Alchemy, and even people who are very like up their own butt sometimes, who at least know what they're doing, but they could be more nicer, They know how life works, but they have to do it in a very delicate way or they'll get judged. And it's not fair for them because they don't have to even be shamans to do that. I'm a shaman and I judge people harshly. I'm very critical of other people. So I have to be wary of that when I can. And I have to be wary of my own shadow, breaking down the barriers of that a little more to understand it, but then bringing it back out together. So in other words, I need to be wary about how I'm being possessive or predator-like and not have to hold back on that too much, but understanding it to observe it and then feel out how it feels while still mending it and figuring out ways to understand it better so that I can mend it and figure out how to resolve it. Because some of that behavior isn't acceptable anyways from my end, but I can observe it and notice how it feels for a moment, time being. Again, guys, this is shadow work. So, in the making. Yours truly. TM trademark. But shadow work that I'm necessarily actually quite deliberately making a point out of, it's shadow work. And that's beautiful as a shaman, as a certain magical index archetype, wherever you would name it for. But that's what I would say about certain magical index. Is like, I find spiritual blessings out of a lot of that. In fact, the grimoires, the 130,000 of them, I draw subconscious meanings out of things in my life all the time. Like, when I feel a pain from losing friendships over the last few years, I'm like, okay, what's causing this to happen? Is it really my fault? Or is it something that deeper about this that I need to figure out for myself? Like, finding friends over time that aren't for me, and then detaching from them to find real people that will stay for me in my life and that will stay in my life is a beautiful thing. But to find that, I don't have to be hard on myself in the first place. I could be if I wanted to push myself, but not too hard the wrong way, obviously. So, I find that with that in mind, I do need to find people in my life that will stay for the right reason. But not because I said so. Not because I depend on it to happen. I'm happy where I am with myself right now. And having to understand that is going to be key to figuring out if the next people in my life will stay for the right reason. And I know I keep saying that, but it's like, that's the thing with shamanism and adding spiritual blocks together and building blocks. These things add over time. Life comes in layers. They come over time. They have to be added to these complex bits and pieces together, because if you understand it as one segment and nothing else, it wouldn't make any sense. No one will believe it. People are very critical of spirituality being confusing cycles and circles and loops and spirals, and nothing happens in leaps and bounds, and nothing happens, and then things are being said, nothing actually explains what it means. But it has to be that way, because if it made sense right away, you wouldn't know what to do with it. I swear, that's actually what happens with spirituality all the time, is people explain things straight up, and they don't mean anything in the moment, because they're out of context. That's why spirituality is confusing. It has to be like that. So, one more thing before I close out for now is shamanism is cool. I've been healing. I've been trying my best to figure out my life and understand it from a better perspective. But with healing, I heal because I'm shamanistic. Nah, that's too straightforward. But shamans do heal, right? They heal and they're good at healing, and the aspect of being courteous and observational does come with being a shaman. It's like having better observation skills, being better about being sweet and respectful, and not necessarily out of a point of having something to prove or pity, but it just happens to be like that. Shamans are not just those hippies with long white beards, with brown robes, who sit in the sweat tent and all day in the sweatshop tent, whatever they call that, the sweat tent, and they just meditate with the steamy rocks, and then just beat on a drum, and they're like, hum, no, not necessarily, but I know. It's just, shamans are people who understand patience and time bringing the blessings and wisdom that it has to. Because inevitably it does bring blessings and wisdom. And wisdom does come over time. Age and experience brings wisdom. It inevitably does. There are foolish older people, but not all of them are stupid. In fact, I'm of the greater sense that no one is truly stupid. That no one is truly ignorant, and that everyone knows something that you don't. And I don't have to bear that too much before. I used to say that all the time. Maybe it's not as accurate as I think it is, but I still believe it. And I'd rather live that world other ways. So, that is what tells me that being a shaman is worth it. That I can find wisdom over time. That I have to be in a hurry all the time. Now, I get desperate. I do get desperate. I think we all do. I get desperate because I want the wisdom right away to figure out my life so I don't have to suffer too much. And I suffer because I'm emotionally turbulent. I get really in my own head a lot of times. I don't know what to do. I don't take action. But then I don't realize what action to take because I don't realize I have actions I can take. And I don't know what actions would allow my life to prosper in a better way. And I forget what options I have. It sucks. Hey, come on, man. It does suck. And I'm not going to sit here and say that that's easy to deal with that stuff because I'm a shaman. Of course not. I'm a shaman because I heal. But I still have a hard life, right? So, to the extent of that, I think Index from the anime suffers. From the certain magical Index. I bet she suffers. Because she has to contain all that information that she can't access. And then she comes off as an idiot, but she's actually really very spiritually blessed. And she holds it to that regard really well. I'm like that too. I'm dumbfounded a lot of times. I'm very scatterbrained sometimes. But I'm actually really smart. And I'm very connected to my own spirituality and my own well-being and my own highest path and my higher self. I'm well about doing that. I'm very well into doing that. I can figure that out for myself and still have people help me along the way. I'm not dependent on people helping me, but I prefer to have spiritual understanding come across when I'm around with other people. Because without other people in my life, I feel like I'm useless. But I'm not, right? So I can do that with other people without being desperate. And that's what I would say about that. A certain magical index, shadow work and healing. Being a shaman is cool. Yeah. Indeed. Yes, sir, boy. Stay still, everyone, because someone's just on the move. This is Val Crosswind. More vlogs to come and spiritual discussions. Yeah, take care.